Okay, so today's assignment is going to deal with Adobe Color. So it's web-based, and it's really just a tool for helping you pick out different color combinations that are interesting to use within whatever Adobe products you want. In particular, we're still focusing on Photoshop, and we've done a little manual color picking so far already, and we've made little drawings using that. But today we're going to use this Adobe Color site in order to kind of pick our colors for us and try to see what kind of color combinations it can come up with for us. Because there are plenty of designers who just kind of use this as a tool for coming up with interesting combinations that they might not think of on their own. And the way that it helps you do this is pretty interesting. So we're going to take a look at it. And then we're going to use some of these into, making some more creations in Photoshop. So here we are at color.adobe.com. It should be linked in the assignment. And you'll see we got this color wheel, and we've got kind of a palette below. Yeah. And we've got, you can just kind of poke around and see what's happening here. So try dragging around some of these circles, and you'll see the palette kind of change down below, right? And what else? And up here it says analogous. And these are kind of having to do with the color wheel, if you remember that, if you've taken an art class, complementary colors, things like that. And so these are analogous colors, which means they're kind of somewhat next to each other or close to each other on the color wheel. And you'll see, like, if I'm keeping it toward the edge of the circle, these are extreme colors, and as I go closer, these are kind of more muted colors, yet they're still complementary, right? So you could see how that kind of shifts. And I've been dragging this middle circle, but you can even just drag these out and see how it kind of spreads evenly. So it's really smart in the way it kind of thinks of this stuff for you. So that's analogous colors. But there are other modes. So monochromatic, that's like that. So look at the color palette below. As I'm changing it, now it's like a bunch of blues, yeah. Purples, reds, oranges, yellows. You can just mess with different parameters like that. So that's monochromatic. We have analogous, monochromatic. There's triad, which is kind of just what it looks like a triangle. And so these are interesting combinations. You may, some of these may be too extreme. They may not fit your project or the kind of mood you're going for, but sometimes you just have to see it to know, like, oh yeah, that's the palette that I think would be cool for my project. Complementary colors. This is basically on opposite ends of the color wheel. Yeah. So that's why it's a straight line. So when I go over here, it's yellows and purples. What else I got? Got some reds and greens. Yeah, so that's complementary. What else we got? So just that's what I'd recommend. Try poking around. These are split complementary. So say I got a blue, instead of going, let's see, what's a better one? I got a red, instead of going just straight over directly to this shade of green, it splits it kind of evenly. Yeah, and this is my color palette. The red looks like maybe it's not really fitting, but that's kind of with all these, right? The orange is like, whoa, it's standing out. But that could kind of be a cool color palette depending on what you're trying to do. So in this assignment, we're going to start out by making a piece of digital art using analogous colors, which is this one again. And then we'll make one using monochromatic. Yeah. And then one using just your own whatever you choose from Adobe Color Picker, with all the three creations that you make, the little paintings, digital drawings, whatever we want to call them. With each of them, I'm going to want to see a screenshot of your Adobe Color palette like this. So what is it on Windows? Oh, you're going to be on a Mac, so that would be Command-Shift-3, like the Apple symbol on your keyboard. It says Command, or it might just say Command. And then the Shift and 3, the number 3, or you could do Command-Shift-4 and then drag it'll be a window. And I'm on a PC right now, so it won't let me. So here we are in Photoshop. We're going to start a new file. We've done this before, yeah? New, I don't know, 1,000 by 1,000. It's not the biggest deal. Have it not be too tiny. Okay, here we are. So you're going to do a screen grab from Adobe Photoshop. How do I feel about this? I'll say, I don't know. We'll say you're doing your first one. Cool. This is your first one. So monochromatic. So you choose on your own. I'm going to say my first one will be this. I kind of think this is neat looking. I'm going to do Command-Shift-3. Well, your screenshots should be on your desktop. Okay, so here I am in Adobe Photoshop. I've taken a screen grab of the color palette. As long as I see the actual color wheel and the colors, the actual palette, that's cool. Or even just the palette thing below, those 5 or 6 colors, whatever it gives you. So I've got this kind of as a reference, right? And I can use the eyedropper tool like we've used before to make my little painting. And again, this is for the first part for analogous colors. So I'm going to do new, file new. Yeah, sure. Whatever the pixels, that looks fine. Create. I've got my palette. And I'm going to do basically what we did before on the last exercise. Here I am. Did my color picker, right? It's got it there in the foreground. Color. There's my little drawing. When in doubt, happy face. That's what I say. Sweet. Looks good to me. So this is one of the 3, right? I'd be turning this in. This is for the analogous colors. Okay, so I would submit this color palette. It already says analogous, and it's kind of clear. But you submit that and your actual little digital painting, and you do that. So you're doing that for analogous, and you're doing that for monochromatic, and then for your custom one.